This is our last lesson in the angles unit. It's interior and exterior angles in triangles. So I'm first going to put up, this is what it looks like, but I'm first going to put up the notes for this. So I'm going to have you look at this as I zoom out a little bit. All right. And this is the kind of thing where I'd prefer for you, if you could, to write it down in your own notes, like just pause the video. But I am going to go ahead and teach using it, so I'm going to move on. Interior and exterior angles and triangles. In all triangles, the sum of all three interior angles, those are the interior angles, equals 180. All those added together will always equal 180. Doesn't matter what the triangle is, any triangle on the face of the planet, that triangle right there, those three angles added together will equal 180 degrees, okay? So that's the first thing we gotta know. All right. The next thing you have to know, the only other thing you really have to know on this, is there's a triangle that is gonna have an extended line going out of it, okay? And the inside angles we call interior angles, and the angle, they're gonna have an angle right here. This angle right there is called the exterior angle, okay? And they will label it with a number or an X or a degree amount of the angle, okay? Now, for these three angles inside, these two are really far away from this. These two are related to this, okay? The two interior angles here are related to that exterior angle there. You see where the third angle is right next to the exterior? So we're not going to use that for what we're going to talk about. That's not used, but these two are. We call them remote because they're far away from the exterior. Remote interior angles. Remote interior angles, because they are far away from this exterior angle. So what do all these three things have in common? Well, if you take these two angles and you add them together, they always equal that exterior angle. The two angles that are remote interior angles, when added together, their sum equals that outside exterior angle. Okay, so here it is. The exterior angle 4 is always equal to the sum of angle 1 and 2, which are called remote interior angles, okay? So angle 1 plus angle 2 equals angle 4. And here's an example. 60, 60, 60 are the three angles inside the triangle. 120 is the exterior angle. The two inside angles added together always equal the outside angle. So this 60 right here that we weren't using at all for adding up the two remote interior, add that to the 120, and that right there is supplementary, so that's going to add up to 180. So that's when you know you've done the right thing, like this plus that angle right there, the exterior, and then this inside of the triangle actually creates a supplementary angle on that straight line. So that equals 180. So we know that that has to be 120 if that's a 60, 60, 60 triangle. And that's a pretty famous triangle there, okay? So, and all three of those add up to 180. Okay, so now we're gonna start the lesson. We have, and I could zoom in again. We have three angles, one of them is missing. We know that all three added together equal 180. So we can take these two and we can add them up. And they become 106, okay? So we take 106 and we subtract it from 180 because all three angles add up to 180. So subtract this sum and you're gonna get that angle right there. And that equals 74. So 106 plus 74 equals 180. So in my box, I put 74. That's the missing angle, all right? That's how you do these. This is real easy. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the calculator because it's a little faster. There's two angles with the missing angle. I add those together. So 57 plus 61 equals 118. Okay, and then I'm gonna clear that and say 180 minus 118 equals 62. So my missing angle here is 62. So I type in 62. All right, number 3. Okay. One more. I think that's the last one that's like that. One missing angle, 2 angles given, all 3 added together equal 180. So I'm going to take the 56 plus the 46. That's 102. 102 plus what is 180? 88. 88 plus 2, sorry, 78. 78 plus 2 makes 180. Yep, I know my math. So that is 78. We plug in 78 for X. That's the missing angle right there. All right, now we are going to be moving on to those the exterior angles and the remote interior angles and all that stuff. All right, so here we go. There's the 2 angles that they're given, and there's the exterior right there. That's the exterior. Okay, so we're going to take these 2 and we're going to add them together. I'll go ahead and do it here. 81 plus 43 is 124. That's what equals that right there, not 180. I don't subtract that from 180. I take the 2 remote interior angles, add them together, and that equals the exterior angle. Okay, so my answer is 124. So that's not 180, just remember that. It'll never equal, these 2 won't ever equal 180. These 2 equal that. That's the same angle as these 2 added together. Okay, have I said it enough? All right, number 5. It'll be another question very similar. Okay, now this time, there's my 2 remote interior that I'm supposed to add together to equal 126. But so this, they've given me the answer of the exterior, okay? But they didn't give me that one. So I'm gonna go 67 plus X equals 126. I gotta move it over, 126. Also gotta write smaller. All right, if I subtract 67 from both sides, I get 59. So this angle right here is 59 degrees. Because 59 plus 67 equals 126. 59. Okay? All right. And the next one. And we're almost halfway done. Okay. Okay. We add these 2 together to equal that angle there. So I take 67, they like that number, don't they? Plus 55, 122. Okay, so that what is it equals 122? This angle right there. That angle right there is 122. The 2 remote interior angles added together equal the exterior angle. All right. We're cooking. Now we're on number 7. Things are going to start looking different, and this is where we're going to have to remember about corresponding angles, alternate interior, alternate exterior, all of those type things. Supplementary, okay? So here we go. I want you to imagine, I know that you see like an upside down triangle hidden inside 2 parallel lines. These are parallel lines, and this right here could be a transversal. And if it is, this is an interior alternate interior angle, and so is that. Pretend this line, you know, just imagine it's not there, but this plus this equals the entire angle, okay? And when we figure out what that is, it's congruent to this angle because those are called alternate interior angles. So 101 plus 50 is 151. And that's the answer to that angle right there. You add these 2 together because this entire angle right here, if this is a transversal, that angle and this angle are congruent. So 151, okay? Number 8. Okay, so once again, I'm going to show you something. Imagine that being the transversal. That means that that angle and that angle are congruent. They're alternate interior angles, okay? They have the numbers in the way, so it would look like that. And you can tell, those are congruent. So what that means is x plus 33 is going to be the same as or equal to, oh, hold on. There we go. Equal to 113, because this angle and this angle are congruent. So I'll just subtract 33 from this to figure out what this missing angle is. It's 80. 80 plus 33 is 113, so I'll put in 80. And that's what the x is in that little angle there. So when you know alternate interior, exterior, corresponding, supplementary, just like vertical angles, opposite angles are congruent, you can fill in blanks real fast. Once again, imagine that being the transversal. There's your one alternate interior angle, and there's your other. Okay, they're on alternate sides, and they're inside the parallel lines. So x plus 93 equals 141. So I'm just going to subtract 93 from both sides. Okay? And 9 and 4 is 13, so 48. So 93 to subtract it from 141 is 48, and that's my missing angle right there. That angle is 48, and I plug it in as my answer. Okay? All right. We're already in number 10. Here we go. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Don't be scared by this. I'm going to hide this line. Do you see the two parallel lines cut by a transversal? That's one set of angles. And then over here, this is another two parallel lines cut by that transversal. So you just kind of have to block out what you don't need. We got two different transversals there cutting through those parallel lines. What it creates is a lot of alternate interior angles that are congruent. Okay, and that's going to help us answer our questions. Okay, by the angle addition property, I guess I could zoom in a little bit. Nope, not there. I don't want to do it on the Chromebook. Hold on. I want to do it on here. Okay. By the angle addition property, angle 4 plus angle 1 plus angle 5, meaning all three of those angles together are going to equal, they think we should know that, and we should. There's a straight angle, and these three angles added all together are going to equal however much a straight angle is equal to, which is 180. Believe it or not, you can have more than two angles equal together to make a supplementary angle. Those are three angles added together to equal 180 degrees. Okay? They are telling us that angle 5, and I'll use a different marker for angle 5. Angle 5 is 30 degrees. Nope, wrong color to use. I'll use my other pen that I was using before. Okay, so angle 5 is 30, and angle 4 is 43. Okay, so the one thing we could say right away, if this is alternate interior to this, if that's the transversal, then this angle and this angle are congruent. That means that angle 3 is 43 degrees. And if angle 5 is 30, there's that angle. That angle is also, if off of this transversal, then 5 and 2 are alternate interior. Angle 2 is 30. Okay, those are congruent. All right, so here we go. We already know that all three of the 4, 1, and 5, add them all together, it's going to equal 180. Now, if the measure of angle 4 is 43 and the measure of angle 5 is 30, what's angle 1? So they're saying, all right, you got 43 over here, you got 30 there, then what's that missing angle? They all equal 180, right? If they all equal 180, I could add those two together and subtract from 180 to get that one little piece right there. So that's what I'm going to do. What is 43 plus 30? It's 73. I should have written a little over here. And then we just, and 180, take away 73 is 107. So angle 1 is 107. See, oh my goodness. All right, so let's go to there. There we go, 107. Okay, that's what we found, that little missing angle there. Now, I'm going to erase all this. Okay, so we see that angle 4 and angle 3, they are the same because angle 4 and 3 are both alternate interior. So let's take a look at that. We see that they are alternate interior. We have to label which type of angle they are, okay? And since we know that these two lines are parallel, that those two numbers are going to be exactly the same. The other word for that is congruent, okay? So far we're saying that they're alternate interior and that they are congruent. So angle 3, we know, is the same as angle 4. Angle 4 is 43 degrees, so guess what? So is angle 3. How'd I know? Some of y'all are going, how'd you know angle 4 was 43? Because I read at the top. Okay, you're going to need to read at the top. All right, now we see that angle 2 and 5. 2 and 5, we already said, are also alternate interior angles. So I'm going to put alternate interior for that one. And they're going to say, gosh, since they're parallel, then 2 and 5 are congruent. Okay, and if angle 5 is 30, then so is angle 2. So angle 2 is 30. Now, they're saying therefore, measure of angle 1 and angle 2 and angle 3, that's supposed to equal, and we're supposed to know how much that equals if you add up all those three angles, and we do know, 180. Every triangle, the sum of its angles are 180. All right, the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2 and angle 3 is an example of the following rule. The sum of the interior angle measures of a triangle is always 180. See how easy that is? So they ask a lot of the same type questions on this type of a problem. Okay? All right, here we go, number 11. Okay. Okay, again, they are giving us some measures. Angle 4 is 77. Imagine that being the transversal, that angle 1 is also 77. Angle 5 is 51. Okay, now this is going to be a little different. This is outside, okay? But the only other number they have is the 2 and the 3, and if this is not vertical to that. That's not a vertical angle. This is the opposite. So the opposite of 5 is 51, okay? But if that's 51, then so is that. But I was going to show you something. See this angle right here? That is the exact same angle on this transversal as this one. Those are corresponding angles. So that's the other reason why angle 3 is 51, okay? All right, so now that we have, I'm gonna have to go back and forth with it. By the angle addition property, angle 2 plus angle 4 plus angle 5, those three angles, look at that straight line, those three angles, okay, are how many degrees altogether? Hopefully you remember that it's 180. So our first answer is that they're supplementary, so they're going to equal 180. All right, so if 4 is 77 and then 5 is 51, then what's 2? Well, so you add up. You add up 51 plus 77. That equals 128. So I'll go ahead and subtract that just because I'm not going to take the time to try to do it mentally. And you get 52. So angle 2, when I added 51 and 77, and I subtracted both of those from 180, I got 52, which means angle 2 is 52. All right, so we're going to say angle 2 is 52. Okay, now we have to say angle 4 and angle 1. Looking at angle 4 and angle 1. 4 and 1. off of that transversal. Those are, do you remember? They're inside the parallel lines on both sides of the fence, alternate interior. And we know that angle 4 and angle 1, because they're alternate interior angles, are congruent. Okay, so that means that if angle 4 is 77, so is angle 1. And they want to know, what is angle 1 then? Measure of angle 1 is 77. Now, 3 and 5. There's 3 and there's 5. Okay, that's not alternate interior, that's not alternate exterior. They're on the same side of the fence, but they're in the exact same spot off of that transversal. This is a clone of that. What is the matching angles we call? Corresponding. They're corresponding angles, and we know that corresponding angles are congruent. So if we know that angle 5 is 51, then we also know that angle 3 is 51, so we're going to put 51. Okay, and then therefore they're saying the measure of angle 1 plus 2 plus 3. Look, we already have all of their, we already know how much they are. We know that all 3 of those angles, because they're inside the triangle, are equal to 180. Okay, and then it says the relationship between angles 1, 2, and 3 are an example of the following rule. The sum of the interior angle measures of any triangle is 180. Okay, so we now have that one done. We're on to number 12. Okay, now this is dealing with, remember, that's the exterior angles. So what are those two called? The remote interior angles, okay? All right, here we go. They're saying that angle 3, I'm gonna try to get up as high as I can. Okay, so angle 3 is 43, and angle 4 is 101. How'd I know that? Because it says it right at the top, okay? So, the sum of the interior angle measures of a triangle must be, what's the number? 180, the magic number. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, measure of angle 3 and measure of angle 4, I can't even speak, 1, 3, and 4 equals, those three measures equal 180, the same answer. We are given that measure of angle 3 is 43. So the measure of 1 plus 4, well, we got to figure out. We don't know what 1 is, but we can figure out what 1 is if we add 43 and 101, and we get 144, and we subtract that from 180. We'll figure out what angle 1 is. So 36. So this one up here, angle 1 is 36. Now it's saying the measure of angle 1 plus 4, those two, what's 101 plus 36? 137. So we're going to say that the measure of those two angles are 137. Do you remember what equals what we say for the sum of the two remote interior angles is going to be equal to the what? The exterior angle. And where is that? It's angle 2. How much do you want to bet they're going to ask us about that? Oh, from the figure, we can see that measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, they're saying what does, and I'm going to have to erase this now, they're saying what did those two equal? Well, can you tell that that's supplementary? There's the straight angle with the ray coming out. So 2 plus 3 has to equal 180. All right. Okay. And we know that angle 3 is 43, by the way. I'm going to push it up a little bit. Okay. All right. So since the measure of angle 3 is 43, it must mean that the measure of angle 2 is going to be 180 minus 43 to get that measure of angle 2 because it's supplementary, so this whole thing is 180 minus 43 is 137, so the measure of angle 2 is 137. So I'm going to put 137. Okay, therefore, let's take a look. Now I'm going to have to erase all this stuff. So we have the measure of angle 2 right there. The measure of angle 2 is, and we have to do something, is something with measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4. Well, we already know. What do you do to 1 and 4 to get that exterior angle? Well, you add them. So let's see. When you add angle 1 and angle 4, what do we put here? Do we put less than, greater than, or equal to? Well, the only thing we've said is that it equals the exterior angle. The sum of the remote interior angles always equals the exterior angle. And now, for the result is an example of the exterior angle property of triangles, which states for any triangle, the measure of an exterior angle is what? Equals the sum of the measure of its two remote interior angles. It's not greater than, and it's not less than. It's equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles, okay? So that's that question. We have one more to do, and it's going to be just like the one we did just now. Okay, so here's our picture. Angle 2 is right here, it's 73. Angle 4 is up here, it's 33. All right, and that's all they give us. But we can figure out something else. Couldn't we figure out this one and this one? Let's just, for grins, let's just do it. 33, 73, and that angle equals, added together, 180. So if we add these together, that's 106. And if we subtract that from 180, we get 74. So angle 1 is 74. Now here's a cool thing. I can do one of two things here. I can add those two together. That'll give me this answer. Or I can subtract 73 from 180, and that'll give me number 3. And that's what I'm going to do. This whole thing is supplementary. Nah, I'm not. I'm just going to add these two together because it's the same thing. So 74 plus 33 will equal this outside exterior angle. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say 74 plus 33 equals 107. So this angle right here is 107. All right? So the sum of the interior angles of any triangle must equal, again, 180. Okay? I'll erase all that. Okay, then, so that means that angles 1, 2, and 4 have to equal 180 when we add them together. Now, we're given the angle 2 is 73. Okay, so that's this one right here. Okay, and so the measure of angle 1 plus 4 must equal, if that's 73, then they're saying, what does measure of 1 and 4 equal? And you know I had it, and then I erased it. 74 plus 33. They're asking to add that up. So that is 107. Okay. So we know that that's going to equal 107. Okay. And because that plus the 73 equals 180. So from the figure, we can see that the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, so they're saying, what does measure of angle 2 and 3 equal if you add them together, okay? So when we add 2 and 3, it's also 180. Why? Because that is supplementary, okay? Since 2 is 73, since angle 2 is 73 degrees, it must be that the measure of angle 3 is 107. And how do I know that? Because 73, okay, we have 180, which is what both of those are together, minus 73 is 107, okay? But I also knew I also knew that the measure of angle 1 and 4, the remote interior angles right here, also equals 107. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So, therefore, what can we say about the measure of angle 3 and measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4, the remote interior angles? The exterior angle is always equal to the measure of the sum of the remote interior angles. So the result is an example of the exterior angle property of triangles. For any triangle, the measure of an exterior angle is either equals the sum of the two remote interior angles, or less than the sum, or greater than the sum. So hopefully you know it's equals the sum of the measures of the two remote interior angles. And that's it. We have done all 13 problems. Congratulations.